Hello guys and welcome back. In the last episode we built this train network as well as our iron only motor factory, but today, given we now have an easily scalable rail network thanks to the use of blueprints to create everything from the supports up to the curves and straight parts of our train network, we're going to have to look at power. And that is because this tiny little coal power plant isn't going to support our expanding industry, especially given the next episode will focus on oil refinement. So today we're going to turn this meager little power plant into this. And to give you an idea of the awesome power this is going to produce, it's going to 7 times our total production at the moment, jumping us up from 1,125 kilowatts of energy to over 8,000 kilowatts. I mean, sure, it's 8 gigawatts. That's nothing compared to the massive factories, but remember, we are just using coal for this. Well, compacted coal. And before you say, oh, why are you using compacted coal? Just go to fuel. There is a reason for that. The blue crater has tons of oil available. And on top of that, sulfur for the compacted coal, which will allow us to go from fuel to turbo fuel, but then nitrogen, so that we can go from turbo fuel to rocket fuel. Yes, this one biome, I hope, will be the greatest source of power to our world, up until nuclear, that is. And that whole dream starts here. So the first thing that we're going to need to do today is harvest the sulfur. And to do that, we're going to have to take the train line and split it, as you can see here. And from here, we're going to take this up. Let's just grab ourselves a double ramp. And we're going to make sure that this is concrete, so it's all in keeping. We're going to take it about there, I think. So let's grab our foundation. Then from here, we're going to spiral this, or not spiral, we're going to turn it into this little, I want to say cavern, it's not really a cavern, archway. Is that high enough? Yeah, just. So we're just doing the same technique that we normally do for the 10 meter or 10 degree turns. And the reason we're doing a 10 degree turn is that it's just going to be a lot quicker to do and also easier. If we do a 5 degree curve, it's going to be much more difficult to fit it without it going out towards this end arch, and we want it to kind of hug this center pillar so that it runs all the way around to our sulfur here. And then from there we can try and connect it, I guess over here actually, probably a good spot, and allow us to harvest all of this sulfur to then be sent across to the opposite side, where we're going to be building a compacted coal facility, which combines coal and sulfur to produce compacted coal. It does mean, of course, that we need to do something with the coal as well. But I'm going to get on with this. It's going to take me a few moments. So once we're done with that, I will check in with you and we can move on to the next segment. Okay, I had to redo this because I started doing the 10 degree tighter curve. It was getting too close to the side so that it wouldn't make it round to the sulfur station. So instead, I'm using the 5 degree method, but you can see that if we do it like this, it's pushing out further towards the other arch support. And if you look at the bottom, this section is straight. So we're going to turn it the same way that we do the curves by 1 increment. And you can see how this is nudged inside of it. So from here, we're going to place it. And then we can add this onto here and then bring this inside. It's a bit of a complicated way in order to get it to curve, but you can see it works. However, there is a solution to this, and that's what I'm going to show you right now. So let's head over to our blueprint designer. So what you need to do with this, and it works for both the 2-way system and also a single variant. So we're going to take our single variant here. which is exactly the same as the two-laned version. It's just a single lane. And we're going to make sure that this is the right curve. So I'm going to turn it so that it's facing the right direction. So all we need to do to fix this so that we can have a continued curve would be to remove the straight edge here. And the reason is that the blueprint is seeing this as a straight edge, and that's where it's snapping. But of course we don't want it to snap to a straight edge. We want to have it snap to the curved section. So just by removing this on the right and left hand variant and then saving this as, say, a continued curve, we'll then be able to go from a right curve into a right continued curve, and you'll see it's going to look really clean. So just save this, and you'll want to do the same for your left variant as well. And we are back. So here we can use the default mode if we want. You can see how this is the full section, the one that starts off with the straight. We don't want this straight edge here. So we've now done the continued left curve. And you can see it here. We're using the default mode, and notice how it's on a different angle. Well, we can just nudge this one increment in, and ta-da, we have a continued curve, and we can rinse and repeat this as many times as we like to quickly do a curve leading around here. Unfortunately, it is going to be slightly wider than I anticipated, but I think we can make this work.
A few moments later.
And the next thing to do here, now that I think, ooh, that looks about perfect. We might need to do it, I think probably from this angle actually, so that we're not clipping into the side if possible. And then from here, we're just going to bring this down and we'll build our train station and start harvesting that sulfur. With the station placed, I have done a little bit of architectural stuff. Not sure how I feel about it, but we are going to take the sulfur up into the inputs here from below. The only problem is we need to bring the sulfur into this section. I know it seems a little long-winded, but with 3 nodes being harvested, what we're going to do is balance them out so that we've got equal sulfur going into each of the inputs. So that is why that is like that, and we will have to work out the sulfur nodes now. But before we do, I was thinking maybe we could use the same blueprint that we had before with the railway train entrance, like here. I need to find a way to get that to... Oh wait, that is in line. I was going to say, yeah, I quite like that. And from here, we will also grab... Do we have the plain white? No. Let's use this. We're going to go to -100. And then hopefully it will not be blue. Okay, I did that wrong. I think it's this one. Yeah, so that one needs to be down to 1, and this one needs to be set to 100. Now, with a little bit of luck, we'll be able to color. There we go. That's what I wanted. We can run this maybe all the way along here. Kind of like the idea of having them as that yellow that we had. I think it's a little bit bright. Let's grab it. Then we're going to make an adjustment here. Might need a little bit of tweaking, but it's not far off. Let's sort out all of these. I'm going to need, what have we got? 30. We're going to have to go with a Mark II. Most definitely. So we will grab these. Have this one going in that direction. This one in this direction. And then we'll meet these together. And we'll bring these across. And then, I don't know, maybe about here we'll start turning this. Yeah, I think we're going to have to use the 10-degree turn. I might have to pull this back, actually. Looks a little bit tight. Maybe if we came more a straighter angle from here, we'd be able to make the turn tighter. Yeah, leave that with me. And here we are. I have made a few little changes. As you can see, there is the dark black base for the train station. And I've also added the metal pillars to the top section just to blend this in a little bit better as well. So you can see we've got a little section here, and then it goes into the train station. I think that looks really nice. And then we have our sulfur. Now, what's going on here is we have 900 sulfur being merged and balanced together. So we've got 2 lines going out, each of 450, heading up to the sulfur train. We also have 150 sulfur that's not currently being used, but we will use that eventually. And I should probably quickly talk about this because I've had a few people come into streams asking, how do we do this? Is it in vanilla? Well, yes it is. Let me show you. So the way that this system works is that you need to have snapping points that are 1 vertical point apart. So you see this one, we have our output here and we have our input for the merger there. If we connect these up and we twist them, you'll notice that they snap as tight as possible. Now, if you do not have a snapping point, so we've got the 2 outputs here, these aren't going to snap together. And as you can see here, it's going to go to the default position, which is slightly lower. However, we can force a snapping point by placing down a conveyor pole a few increments away from the output on the merger here. So here, if we now twist this, it won't work because it is not the right position. Can we do it here? Oh wait, I think, yeah. Oh no. So the reason I think the distance here is a little bit too close for us to do it in that circumstance. We should be able to, there you go. As soon as you see the conveyor elevator disappear, you know that it's working. And there you are. And we could have done it from this position, but because it's too close, oh no, it's working now. Typical. It's just a bug in the game. Yeah, that did confuse me for a second. Also, why is that upside down? I've never noticed that before. Anyway, now that you know how to do that, I'm going to ship all of this sulfur all the way across to that, behind this mushroom, that section of the map. And the reason that I'm doing it there is because we want the compacted coal to eventually go to this area here. And so it'll be nice and close. And we're also going to need to use the water that's there as well to harvest all that, because there's a lot of shallow water on this side. And I'd prefer to tuck all the extractors into that little alcove. So I'm going to, I think, get the train network over to that section. So we're going to have to turn it to the left at this corner. And then we'll work on the compacted coal setup and get that coal over there as well. Now for this particular section of track, we can't turn left at the end here because it's going to be too tight a turn for us to go into the station. So we're actually going to have to head straight on. Just realized I'm on the wrong side of the track for this as well. From here, we're going to go straight on into here. Of course, we do have a slight concern, and that is the fact that we have an indestructible piece of scenery here that's going to be in the way of our train station, or where we're bringing our resources in. So we're going to have to do something about that. But first, let's build the rail line into the station, and then we'll talk about how we're going to work this into the build. So we have our train here. This is going to drop off the sulfur, then we're going to combine it with the coal to create compacted coal. The problem, as I just mentioned, is this. So let's see what we can do. We could possibly just cover it up, but then we're going to have to do this a few sections high. Otherwise, we're going to have just a random smoke coming out. So my thought here, at least, is to box it in. That's clipping through, so let's bring that across slightly more, like that. And then maybe we can tuck this into it halfway. There we go. And we now have this little box where we have our issue. What I'm going to do, I think, is grab this. Remove that. And so we have a little smoke vent, I guess. That could work. Just place that along there. Obviously going to be black. What I will now do is grab my label signs. And we're going to highlight them this orange color. The orange that we're using is this one, FF8500, with the signs emission up to 3. Some of you have been asking how I get my lighting to look like this. We are using Lumen. We're on the highest version that we have available. So do make sure you're using Lumen if it doesn't look the same as mine. And then from here, we need to cover this. So we will grab our wall, our ramped wall. I'm going to use the concrete. I'm just going to nudge this across. We can go into the default, just nudge, and I want to have just a tiny gap, because what this will do is hide the drop pod unless you're staring directly at it, and allow us to have some kind of little heat vent. Yeah, I quite like that. And I guess if you really wanted to, we could bury this in parts so only a small amount of it is actually showing. We might do a little bit more detail to this at a later date. The next thing that we're going to do, I'll show you if I change it, but I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to bring the sulfur up. In fact, we can maybe go this way and bring the sulfur up and around. Then we'll run the actual facility here. So the next thing that I need to do is work out how we're bringing the sulfur up, where we're bringing the coal from, and also get started on the compacted coal layout. So we're going to need some kind of facility foundations here. So I'll get started on that now, and we will see where we go from there. The next task, we're going to bring the excess coal that we have available to our compacted coal facility. Now we are going to leave the coal plant running as it stands. So we're going to overclock one of the miners, and then the other one we will start to siphon the resources so that there's an easier transition for us and we don't run the risk of everything shutting down and then struggling to turn everything back on. So with this one fully overclocked, actually we don't need to fully overclock it, we only need to do 200%. So that's 240 per minute, which means this one, which is producing 120, can be moved in the other direction. So if we turn it over here, and then I'll do some kind of, I guess, splitter here. Let's just bring that there. Bring that into that line. We're using the same system that we did before. And then we can just connect these up for now. And then we can take the coal out in this direction. And this one is going to head across to here. And we're going to do the same on this side. So we have 2 more coal nodes available. Both up here. We're going to run these. How can we do this cleanly? Maybe if we took them behind here, we'll bring them across to this pillar. And then we can take them up to the top and run them all the way along. Do you have any Nobelisk? Not on me. I might need to bring some Nobelisk to the table so that we can get rid of these because they are clipping. I'll get it started on that now. I don't know if you can see, but we now have our coal bus line coming up and across to here. And we actually have a little bit of space between this. So I was going to destroy it, and we probably will. But I'm not going to bother about creating Noblest just yet. And then we've also got the coal over there coming across. So we're going to grab our coal line and we're going to run it all the way along here over to there. And at this point, we're also going to bring the coal from just below us across as well. And I'm also enclosing all of the buses so it looks a bit more industrial at the side of the train line here. The other thing I should mention, once I've done all of this, I will remove all of this so that it's just supported along here, and we're going to obviously delete these as we go as well. So it's just supported by this alongside the side of it. And yeah, this is going to take me a fair bit of time, so I will show you once it's done. I am really happy with how this bus line has turned out. I don't normally bus resources over a fair distance. I'd normally train them, but I think it works perfectly under the rail line that we've done here. Anyway, now that we've got the coal to our facility, and we've also balanced it so we know that all of our lines are equal, and I've brought it all up as we had planned along and around the side to this point here, and this is where we split off the sulfur and the coal. So these two lines are going to go to another line which will be around here, the same distance apart, and the idea is that we will be able to bring the sulfur up. It's going to be very tight. I have to stress that. We will bring, say, the coal up here. So I'm actually clipping it halfway through. If you hear that click, it means that it is running. And then alternately, with the coal on the other side, and make sure it's in the right position. It would help if I actually had a assembler so that I know where the position is. But from here, we will connect it up, and then, hey, I think that's the perfect distance. Place our assembler here to bring up our resources. So that is the plan. As for how many assemblers, let's work out how many we don't have access to compacted coal yet, and I bet that's because it's not unlocked here. So we need to unlock in sulfur the experimental power generation. That's going to require modular frames and rotors. And then from here, we'll be able to unlock the compacted coal, and this is normally turbo fuel if I remember rightly. Should be, because that would be rocket fuel. Yeah. One thing I haven't thought about though is we're going to need a hard drive to unlock that. I wonder if I've got one in my inventory because depot, hard drive. I do! Oh, wonderful. Saves me a little bit of work. So from here we can unlock the compacted coal, and then once we've worked out fuel, we can upgrade or unlock turbo fuel, and then we'll combine our fuel with our compacted coal that we're working on today to give us access to turbo fuel, and then finally rocket fuel. So with that in mind, we have compacted coal unlocked here, and that's a 1-to-1 ratio, but it's only 25 a minute, which means this will be a much bigger factory than I anticipated if we want to use all of the coal and sulfur. How much room will we have available? I think we could probably do 15 in this space, and then we'll do 15 on the opposite side, and that would mean we grab 30, times it by 25, which is the amount that we're producing. That would mean we have 750 compacted coal available. I think we have enough resources to do almost 1,000, but we don't need to go too big. We can expand this later if we want. So with 750 compacted coal, we can divide that by the burn time, which I think is no, it's not 7.5. It's something like 7.24. You know what? I can find out. If we open up our coal generator from here, we can click on it, and then there's a little tiny fuel icon here, and it says, here we go, compacted coal, 7.14. Yeah, I knew it was about half that. Slightly off. So that would mean 7.143. We would have room for 105 power generators with the compacted coal from here. But that is going to be a pain with water, isn't it? Because times 45 divided by 300, which is that would be 15.75 pipes. Yeah, that's a bit of a pain, not gonna lie. What we will probably do is let's produce the 105 compacted coal, and then we'll do a number similar to that in terms of power plant. So we'll probably we'll round it down to, what is it, 12, 24, 48, 96. And then we'll have room for expansion later on. So we'll get started with this. And once I'm done with it, I'll show you the insides. And here we are with the first half, the first set. If we look below, you can see we've got a coal and sulfur line, and it is incredibly tight. The way that we've done this is we're clipping ever so slightly the assembler into the top of the elevator, and the lower sections are sharing this space between them for bringing the resources up. And we're going to do that on this side as well. So this is going to be for the coal bus, and then we're going to have the sulfur coming along this section. So we're going to quickly run all of the foundations across here now. I would highly recommend, if you're doing something like this, to ensure that you have at least 6, if not 8 meters of height on your lower logistics floor. Otherwise, it's just too tight. Really, it's been more trouble than it's worth. But we are going to mirror this exact build on the other side. Okay, so it's in line with this. So we can start with placing these, and then from here we're going to place our assembler. And this is a bit too far in, but if you hold control or you nudge, you can see how this is just ever so slightly clipping inside of the conveyor floor holes. And we're going to do that for all of these. And then the other thing that we need to do, once all of this is done, is to add our barrier blueprint, which we did, I think, in the very first episode, or maybe it was the second one. We're going to place that all the way through all of these. And then the other thing that I want to do, and we'll jump ahead once I've done this, I just want to show you how I'm doing it first of all. We're going to run probably a big pillar on either side, or maybe it'll need to be a smaller one, because I want a nice window. I think we'll probably expand the windows out, so we might push this further back. But the concept here is that we're going to take a line and we're going to run all of our power on top of this. So we'll grab our power lines, make sure they're straight, run them across here so that the cabling is out of the way. And then underneath, we're going to continue with the idea of running our strip lighting underneath, because I think this is going to give this factory a really clean look and design. Although maybe we should go with a different color, maybe blue on top. Yeah, that'll look nice. Perhaps we can do something with the floor as well. Yeah, I think this is going to work. I'm not sure about the end window. I think we need to adjust that. That is going to look fantastic once it's done. Okay, well, I'm going to focus on getting this done, and then I'll show you the finished product, or a little further along at least. So as you can see, we have made the section slightly wider at the end, but we have continued with the power system that we were talking about. And now I'm just bringing a little bit of a sloped roof to this section. We'll do, I think, concrete on the inside, and then if I can get it to work, I'll do a normal metal wall along the either side to kind of sandwich all of this in, and this will just ramp up like so. I hope this looks. I think it'll look alright. It's an odd one. I think it's because of the going from a straight section to a ramped section. It's throwing me off from this perspective. Well, next thing for us to do once I've finished that would be to add some kind of skeletal support up here. We're going to have to frame all of this and then work out how we're going to take the resources down. With it being 2 lines of 375, we're going to have to keep them separated. I'm going to have to add some floor holes as well. But perhaps we can frame these using the pillars? Yeah, maybe. And maybe have this on display. I'll play about with this some more and then I'll show you I'm going to jump ahead to finishing this because I don't want to spend too much time on this because we need to unlock tier 2 blueprints and start working on the coal gens down there. So I'll see you once it's done. And here we are with the finished build. I'll jump inside really quickly in a moment, but you can see we do still have to do these supports on the outside for the train line. I'll sort that out at a later date. But we've got quite a brutalist angular build here and I'm really liking it. But let's check the inside and then jump over to unlocking the tier 2 blueprint. One thing that you can't see though that I only just realized is the lighting here. So unless you change the lumen settings, unfortunately it's just not getting picked up from far away, but I really like this light blue highlight on the inside. Anyway, onto the inside. And here we are. I'm so happy with how this has turned out. I love all the lighting and I love the fact that we had this big window at the end of the room. Another thing that I really like is seeing the resources coming in. We're actually waiting for the sulfur because the trains just dropped the resources. There we go. Dropped the resources off and there's obviously that little hold up when the train's loading. But one thing that I wouldn't want to do again is the logistics floor. There is just no way of getting around it. If anything went wrong, there is no way I would be able to fix it without tearing down the whole thing. So again, don't do that, guys. Don't give yourself just 4 meters for viewing. Oh, and another thing I really like out here, if I just jump down, I've used the barriers. You can stack these like so, and I really like the look of them. So we did that on the wall there. And as you can see, all the resources are running. We've got the compacted coal heading to the awesome sinks, which means we've got plenty of coupons, as you can see here. In fact, I'm going to take them to unlock the tier 2 blueprint designer, which is what we're going to have to do now. Okay, so we are back at the base and it's time to unlock. I didn't think this through. I put all my spare computers into railway signaling, but actually we need them for the fix-it blueprints, and we're going to have to get 100 plus the 400 rubber as well. And I plan to do this using the coupons, but if we go to the awesome shop, you'll notice we do not have access to computers at the moment, and that's because we haven't unlocked how to produce them, which is here in the industrial manufacturing. So I'm going to have to unlock this first. I'm also going to have to purchase 400 plastic for that, you'll notice we do have access to, and I will then buy the computers afterwards. So I'm going to jump ahead. I left them in the shop. Anyway, I'm going to jump ahead with unlocking these now because this is going to take about 20 minutes. And after I've unlocked the tier 2 blueprint, I will show you how to build the generator setup, which I'm going to be working on now. And here we are, the humble Mark II blueprint designer. It is a monster with 5x5 foundations and also 5 4-meter foundations in depth vertically as well. It pretty much doubles up the size of the original blueprint designer, so you can fit a lot in this. But we're going to be building our generator setup, and to tell you what, it better be worth it because I had to spend 18 coupons in total for enough computers for this, but I think it will. It should drastically improve the speed of building this next section. So The great thing about this over the Mark 1 is that we can fit not 2, but a total of 4 generators in a single blueprint. And that is obviously really good for us because a perfect setup is 8 generators. So you could do 2 4 generator blueprints to design or build the perfect generator setup and have everything perfectly balanced. But before we jump ahead with all of that, I'm thinking we should have some kind of wall along here. We'll do the same on this side, followed by a doorway. Oh, you know what would be really nice? We put the lighting from this inside. Gonna take a bit of work on my behalf to get it right, but it'll be worth it. So we place that, and then we place these on the inside. And we're also going to need some kind of walkway above this. Let's bring it up to here. And we'll keep this as a single line, because otherwise we're gonna have to keep replacing parts as we build out. So we'll just keep it as a straight piece and we can change it where we see fit. Next, I want to grab one of these. We can run this all the way along. It might be better to move that over actually. We could add maybe carbon steel. I think that's a really nice texture for this. Now we're going to tuck our construction fences inside along here. It's going to take me a long time, so I think I'm going to once again jump ahead with this and show you where I've got to with it, and we will go from there. It's amazing what a few copper pipes can do to the overall feel of the build. As you can see, we've added some lighting here, but the big change was the pipes, and also, that's straight. It is straight. Also, I budged this from over here to here, and the idea is that not all pieces will have this, so we'll replace that, or we'll remove these depending on what we feel is right. We've got the metal beam heading through here, and then I've just repeated the lighting on the top section as well. The next thing that we need to do, before I get too far ahead of myself, is to set up the coal manifold, and we will run that along there. We'll do the same with our belts. You know, I feel I don't like this. I like that we've got light coming out of both, but I don't like this gap. If we use the metal beam, that could work. Something like that. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. So we'll stick with that, and then we're going to do a little bit more detail above. So I've added a wall here, and I was thinking we could, you can see we've also done the same with the copper pipes. So I've run these as just decoration to make it feel a bit more industrial. But what if underneath these pipes we run these? I think that will have to be connected. Or the other option, thinking about it, is we could just remove that, bring that across, and that is actually aligned. Okay, that is a better option. From here, we'll also grab our metal beams and add that beneath. Carbon steel it, and we've got red backlighting against the wall behind. This is also where we connect our power. But I think the front section should be more clinical and lit up. So we will add just above the walkway, little blue lights. So I'll repeat that on either side, and I think we'll be done. Maybe I'll add some more. I'm terrible because I'm never happy with just a single blueprint. I always add more detail than is necessary. But I will continue playing around with this and then show you the final project. By the way, if you're wondering how I've set this up, I started off with adding the pipeline wall support, and we will connect this with the other blueprints via these as well. Ran this all the way through, and then I started adding these just so that they're going down the gap between the two coal gens. Anyway, let's finish this blueprint. And here we are. I just built the top sections as I had shown with the center section, this bit here. And then I decided, you know what, it would be nicer to have the light over the manifold so that we can see the coal running rather than the walkway, because I think if we're mirroring these, the walkway is just going to be oversaturated with light. So now that this is built, we can start sorting out the generator setup over in the blue crater. We are back at the blue crater, and you can see I've already placed down my first blueprint. I just wanted to make sure that it fit where we wanted it to. We are going to have to get some Nobelisks though to destroy that at some point at least. Anyway, what we're going to do now is to start building out this blueprint. And there's one thing that I've already realized I've done wrong. I haven't done a mirrored version of this, and hadn't realized that I hadn't mirrored this. So we're going to have to delete this manifold and flip it around, and then we can have another blueprint. So we can merge these together like so. And the hope, at least, is that it will blend quite nicely together. So let's see how oh, I'm going to enjoy this build. Oh, wonderful. I am going to build a load of these because we're going to have to probably do... It was just under 100 we said we'd do. So 24 on each line. And I'm going to need some more resources. But that would be 4, 8, 12. Yeah, so we're going to have to do 6 blueprints per line. And we're going to have to do 4 lines. So it'll be 2 sections mirrored together. So actually, if we just remove that really quickly... I'd love to see what it looks like if we flip this. Oh, we can't place it close together. So there's gonna have to be a gap of like, yeah, maybe a foundation. And then we could, I don't know, maybe if we remove the background, we could have a little gangway for us to run down the center. That might be quite cool. Anyway, I'm going to build this out and I will show you how it looks once it's done. So I've added 1 full line, the most like the majority of another, and then I stopped because we had this in the way. So I've decided what would be best is to turn this section on so that it's running. This would also mean that we have the power available to destroy this, to tear it down, and then we can build the rest of this one out and double it up. Now I have batched these together in sets of 8. So on the left hand side we have 3 lots of 8, and then on the right hand side we have 2 lots of 8. So that's a total of 40 generators here. But you can see I've already done my maths. We have got, for each section we need 360 water, which we do in 2 pipes. So you can see in preparation, I have the first set of pipes here. The problem is that they are quite high up. So I am going to have to use pumps to get the water running up there. But for the time being, I'm just going to do all the piping. We have a lot of pipes to do. I think 3 tiers of pipes. And then we have to make sure all the water's going up. And then once that's done, we can start turning everything on. And before I do the pipes, it would probably be good for me to break down how we're doing the setup. So each leg of this section, we're gonna fill this whole area, is going to have 6 water extractors on it. And they're going to be separated into 2 sets. So the first set is of 3 water extractors. That's 360 water. And they're going to split the water between 2 pipes heading up and along to the generators over there. And we're doing the same for the second set. So each one of these arms should be able to run 16 generators worth of water. I just need to make sure that everything is set up first. So we're going to turn on the water now and just make sure that it gets to this top section. If it does, we're good to test the coal. If not, I'm going to have to rework this and then we test the coal. Temporarily, I promise, temporarily, I'm going to be a monster and just bring this over here so that we can connect this up. Just to make sure it's all running, and then eventually we'll have it all connected. You can see this is all connected to the generator setup. We just haven't connected the generator setup to the main line yet. So this is temporary. But the water is running. Let's see if it fills up. The pumps be pumping, that is a good sign. But unfortunately, we're just a little bit too low. I expected this would happen. So we're going to add some pumps to the lower section here. And hopefully it will run. It should do. And then we'll test out the coal. So I'll set that up now. With the water reaching the desired level, I have doubled up the water setup and started to bring down the compacted coal and run that to our facility here. And as you can see, everything is starting to turn on. We still have a few things turning on and off, but we're getting there. And the good news is, though it's still turning on, we can clearly see that we have more than 1.2 gigawatts that we had from the original power plant. So we're now ready to turn off the other facility. So we can just disconnect the power first of all, and then we'll be able to tear this down. So let's just check really quickly. Right, that is not good. This has separated from the main facility, so it looks like I've screwed up. This section is connected via this. This is connected to here. How about that? Okay, we've got 2 gigawatts of power. Okay, so we will remove this now. I use so many blueprints here that might be a little bit difficult to tear it down. Okay, let's remove that. Wait a second. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't even add the last generator. Wait, did I do the same on this side? Did I just do a massive faux pas? It should be 16. It's 15. Oh well. Right. Let's remove all of this. I will show you. In fact, what I'll probably do, once I've torn all of this down, I will do the build on the other side. You already know what's happening, so we might as well jump to that bit. I do like the idea of having a gangway, though, down the center. That would be cool. Anyway, leave it with me. I'll get this all deleted. I've created a monster, and it's glorious. Look at the industrial design. I love this. I haven't doubled this up yet. I thought it better to make sure the whole first section is up and running, and it is looking incredible. It's not turned on yet, but I'm just really loving this design, and I think I'd like to try and do something industrial like this for when we do the fuel gens as well. Maybe more industrial. Now, a few of you may be questioning why I've placed it here. Why am I trying to just squeeze it all in, especially if I'm going to be doubling this up as well? And the reason is, this whole section of rail needs some kind of design to make it look supported. And by covering that abyss, it makes it look much more stable and settled in place. So that is the reason behind placing all of the generators behind there rather than another location. And I have to admit, I'm liking how this is coming along. I've also got water in all of my pipes, which is fantastic because it means that we can now bring all of these around and start turning on the rest of this section. And then once that's done, we're obviously going to double it up. So give me a few minutes and I'll show you the working system. To think this is our first large power plant in this playthrough is mind-blowing because it has taken me so much work. It's the one reason that I wouldn't recommend doing a compacted coal setup, because though it produces a lot of power, it's a big setup and you're not getting a lot of power out of the amount that you're placing down, even though it's going to be 8 gigawatts worth once it's up and running. It's going to be so much easier to jump straight to fuel or turbo fuel if you're doing your own builds that it's really not worth doing something like this. But I do want to show the process of going from coal to compacted to fuel to put turbo fuel. So I've done it this time. I probably won't do it again, is what I'd say, because I'm getting so sick and tired of doing the pipes. And I still have to pipe the rest of this now. So that is the next thing for me. The good news, you may have noticed, look at all of these green lights. This whole section is turned on. And we just need to do the same on this side now. And if you're wondering, yeah, we're currently at 4.5 gigawatts. Obviously, 500 of that is from the power augmenter. And then we've got the 410 boost as well. But that's still not bad. Whew. Right, let's get on to those pipes. I am sick of pipes. I am absolutely fed up with them, because we couldn't fit everything in where I wanted it to. So I've had to rework the system. And you may notice, if you look down here, each extractor is now producing 180 water. So it's 150% clock speed, and 2 extractors are going to their own set of 8 generators, because we don't have enough room to cleanly do them otherwise. And I am just sick to death with it. It is finally done. It's all running. It's all running. You can see here we have our 8.4 gigawatts of power, which is fantastic. I just need to clean it all up now and start doing the outer decoration. This is going to take me a long time, so we're just going to skip ahead, but I'll show you some of the cool stuff that I'm doing as we go along. The first thing that I have done is we obviously need to cover this to a certain degree, and though I like seeing the pipes, I'd like to show them occasionally and house the actual top section. So that's what we've done over here. We'll jump over to that. And so we're using the foundation frame so that we have the glass flooring, and you can see the pipes beneath it. And then we have the red foundation, and I just think it looks really industrial with the little copper sections poking out. I do need to remove those 2 though. I am thinking that on the underside we may need to add a little bit more light. I'm a little bit concerned that it's a little bit dark, and I think that's because Lumen doesn't show if it's particularly far away, and this whole design is based on having just enough light to play around with the shadows, and so it'll be fine up close, but if you look further down, once it's all covered, I think it's going to look too dark. So we're going to play that by ear. As for the gangway, I've still not done that, but I can... Oh, shoot. Please. There we go. We remove them. Oh, yeah, of course. Double blueprint. The walls have been placed over one another. Oh, you know what? That is going to work. We could do maybe some kind of... I don't know. Pillar or wall? I'm going to have to play about with this, but something like that would look really nice. Okay. I know what I'm going to be spending my next 10 minutes doing, or 20.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
It's the moment of truth. And this is the finished build. I am really happy with how this has turned out. With the copper piping, I kind of wanted to give it a heatsink kind of look, which is why we have these fins running along the sides, or along the center, I should say. And I have kept the outer design pretty minimal, really, compared to the inside at least. So if we head inside now, we have the maintenance only section that I was just working on, and I've kept the top wall. That's surprisingly, I didn't think I was going to, but I love the metal beam that we have here and how it kind of separates the 2 sections. And then if we go around, we have access to generator section, and you can see what I kind of meant about the background feeling a bit darker. In fact, if we go r.fog 0, it just loses a lot of light. You have a bit of the sunlight coming in right at the end. I don't know if I can zoom in on that actually. Yeah, it just disappears. but it just looks very dark. So you have to get close in order to see the actual lighting. But it does feel really industrial, so I'm really happy with how this has turned out. And the bottom section looks pretty cool as well. It's much more lit up, but I think it really works. And the fact that we have the coal on show, constantly running, is a really nice addition as well. I think it's nice to have that kind of animation liveliness to the build. So really happy with how all of this has turned out. I don't know if there's anything else worthy of show with it, because it is a blueprint. It's naturally repeated. This side we've added a little bit of lighting for the barriers, but it's all the same from here. And I'm even more excited now for what the next project will be, because we're going to be looking at oil production and refining, which is going to be an interesting build of its own, because I noticed the other day that Paradise Island is no longer filled with hitboxes that are going to kill you. You can actually go onto Paradise Island and build there if you'd like. So I think we're going to turn Paradise Island into Oil Paradise and turn it upside down into an oil refining dream, bringing all the oil from the Golden Coast to here. We'll see how that goes. Maybe tear everything down as well and fill it with concrete. But guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, hit the thumbs up. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. But we are going to leave it there. Special thanks, as always, goes to all of our amazing supporters on Patreon. Most notably, our Lunar Eclipse Patrons, Fireflesh, The Calamity, Ben, Star, and Seeker Kala, as well as our Blood Moon of the day, which today is Slom. Until next time, as always, ciao for now.